Good morning. We are over in the San Joaquin Valley, about to take a short flight. Again, we'll be using the F-15 to cover the distance a little quicker so we don't get bored. This was a flight I took back in '68. This is tied in with flying Mark Donohue from Monterey to Sears Point, or Sonoma Raceway, which is up at the top of San Pablo Bay, up by Napa and Sonoma, up in that area, up in the wine country. So anyway, that was my last flight, and again, that was in a 180 Cherokee. They was a popular plane back in the 60s. So I was at that point I was working for the Piper distributor when we flew from Monterey to Sonoma. But earlier on, when I first met Mark, I hadn't seen him for 10 years. I hooked up with a friend. I was instructing in San Jose at the Piper dealer and going to San Jose State to get my college, build my flight time, get my college so I could get on the airlines. And I ran into John Hilton, and I had met in Carmel, where my parents retired in Carmel. So Hilton was working in San Francisco, and I flew up from San Jose, and I was working again at San Jose Piper. I had a 180 Cherokee, and on a Sunday we were flying over to watch Mark Donohue driving for Roger Penske, and he was driving a Camaro in the Trans-America series, and that was called the pony cars. He had the Camaro, but the pony car was the Mustang, which was the first pony car. And then they had all kinds of, they had a Trans Am, they had a Barracuda, they had a Cougar. Ford had the Mustang and the Cougar, pretty much the same car, different body, same chassis. So we had another occasion of flying Mark, and I'll get into that as we go along. But the race was over here at Crow's Landing. Crow's Landing, it was called the Mission Bell 200, I believe, and it was a Trans Am race. And just while I'm looking at my little cheat sheet here, Jerry Titus won the race in a Shelby Mustang. Peter Revson was second in a Mercury Cougar. Mark was third in a Camaro. That was a backup car in a Camaro, and that gets into why the story takes place and why I am flying with Mark. So we'll get into that. Ed Leslie, which I mentioned in the previous clip, was driving a Mercury Cougar at that time. I didn't know Ed Leslie at that point. He wasn't on my radar. So this is October 9, 1967, when this took place. Again, I hadn't seen Mark for 10 years. Last time I saw him was in Summit, New Jersey. I was home on a weekend leave from the Navy, and I went to a party with my buddies. Mark was there. Mark had I would say it looked brand new to me, but what would I know back then? Corvette. Gave me a ride in the Corvette on Ashland Road in Summit, New Jersey, and it was like the fastest I've ever gone, period, or gone in a car. Oh, yeah, I'd gone faster in the airplanes, but I wasn't aware of it at that time. And I wasn't, I might have been taking flying lessons at that point, but I can't be sure. By 1967, oh, sure. Oh, yeah. No, back in back when I rode with him in the Corvette. I'm not sure what my status was in the Navy on that weekend that I was home on leave for. They called it Liberty. I was home on a Liberty pass, on a weekend pass. Okay, now we're back here, and John Hilton drops by San Jose Piper and says Mark is going to be going. Let's go over to Modesto. And the race was actually down here at Crow's Landing. Modesto was just the nearest large airport. So we landed over there, and I believe we rented a car to get down to the airport. Okay, so we'll tell you the rest of this as we go along. And one thing that's kind of interesting, all those people have passed away. Ed Leslie lived a long life, lived into his 80s, but Titus, Revson, and Donohue all were killed in motor racing. Probably none of them made it through the 1970s. They were all killed in the 1970s. Possibly Jerry Titus. He was a rider and also quite a good driver. Jerry Titus didn't have a long racing career. Revson, I think, I'm not sure when he went, but it was in the 70s, and they just didn't have the safety equipment that they have today in racing. They don't have quite as many catastrophes in racing today. They protect the drivers. Okay, enough of that, and let's get flying here. I'm not sure what that is. It looks like the engine is out in the open. Yeah, but the wing they all are fashioned after J3 Club. Oh, this was Crater Lake up in Oregon. Was what that picture was taken over. So we say ready to fly, and we're going to just put it on hold here so we get the lights on. Get the lights on here. Put the throttle up to full throttle. Get it about noon here. That's close enough. And we will be able to look down at, we're going to go outside. My little rinky-dink. I'm going to learn how I'm going to replace this little part so I can do this. We're looking over toward Modesto, probably right over here, where we flew into. We look straight down, we can cut that noise off. And this says today, this is a NASA facility, and it's called NASA Crow's Landing Airport and Test Facility. So it's not open to the public. It doesn't show. Excuse me. It could be open to the public. It doesn't show up on my chart. So that's why I'm starting off in the air. We're at 37,000 feet. We're going just under Mach, but this will be a little bit quicker than flying off the ground from Merced. I assume this is like 99 over here, and Merced and the airport, Modesto and the airport, which we flew out of in the Piper Cherokee 180, was right over here. So we're going to be flying, and this is a direct line to Reno. We go right over Tahoe. We are going to put the autopilot on, and I've learned a little more about this. You turn the autopilot on, off, and then back on again, and we go out here, and we have the altitude hold is on, and then we can look also here to get get the let's see here. Here's our heading. So that's right on there. If you look right now, I've moved the heading bug just off of center. See it right there? So I'll move it right back on the heading. And this aircraft, I haven't figured out how to get it to track a course. The course is set in, and we can bring the course on right here on the chart. See the course set on here, and we'll go ahead and put it up to the all the way out, so you can see where we're flying. We don't see the water on here, but we do see KRNO, which is Reno. Right there, we'll be landing on runway 17, which would be back. We're landing to the south, which is what we did that day back in 1957. There's Modesto. We fly right over Modesto. KMOD is Modesto, and we take off. We don't take off. We're in the air. So we've got the autopilot on. We've got it set, so all we have to do is take the power all the way up and set it free. So here, there we go. And we're coming up on 500 knots. We shouldn't have to touch anything. It should hold altitude. We're 37,000 feet. We're going to pretend we're on an instrument flight plan. And they've given us 37,000 feet. I can't adjust this down.
Contact Oakland Center on 126.85. Good day.
So we can go back this way, just to look back over toward the Bay Area. Right down here is San Luis.
Going to 126.85, strike tree 901.
This is San Luis Reservoir, and we can see the aqueduct going south to LA right there, and Highway 5 goes right down there. That's San Luis Reservoir, and looking back over, you can't quite see it. I can almost make out Monterey Bay is right in there. So we should be looking down there. We're looking down at the airport we took off from at Modesto, and we flew on the same path, same flight path into the Sierras. We don't need this on. See how we're right over Modesto? Right there. We're right on track. Although we aren't tracking the course, we are just holding a heading into the airport. We'll stay at 37,000 feet, whereas with Mark, I had him in the left seat. I was an active instructor at the time, and had him in the left seat, and actually logged the lesson. I called it a flight lesson. We did some stalls over Lake Tahoe to get him accustomed to the feel of flaring out for a landing, where you pull back and hold your nose on the horizon is how you land an airplane. You get down and do the flare out. He was relaxed, no pressure, no white knuckles, and actually landed the aircraft. I didn't touch the controls. I talked him down, and he landed, and I bought a logbook and actually logged that. It was probably an hour and a half flight time in the Cherokee 180 up there. I am going to attach a link to a YouTube, which is very informative, great flashback to Penske and Donohue's racing days, and a guy named Chris Economaki did I think it was called Car Films or something like that. And he did a film on Penske and everything they were doing at the time, and it was called 4 hands, F-O-U-R, hands, H-A-N-D-S, on the wheel. And if you search for that on YouTube, you'll see a young Mark Donohue and a young Roger Penske, and they were probably about in their let's see, at that point it was 19, so from 37, 47, 57, 67. So they were 30 years old. We were all 30 years old at that point. You're starting to see some snow in the mountains. We got a big snowstorm. I'm starting to see Lake Tahoe right here. So I'll put the link in the description on this YouTube to that 4 hands on the wheel. But all you have to do is type in 4 F-O-U-R hands on the wheel, and it takes you back and talks about all the racing that Penske and Donohue, including the Trans Am, which is the pony cars. And I'll tell you just a little more. I have a little time here. The reason that I flew him up here to Reno is out here in Elko on Highway 80. The backup driver, Craig Fisher, was towing the new Camaro. They had the number 1, or the new Camaro, and then the older Camaro, the number 2 car, which Craig Fisher was to drive. But Craig fell asleep or something like that, and so he had a towing accident, and Mark had to come up here to go out and assess the damage so they could figure out what they needed to rebuild in the garage, their shop in Reading, Pennsylvania, and then the Oakland Chevy dealer could do the other repairs. That was my understanding. But at least Mark had to get to Reno, and then the next morning he rented a car and headed out. I climbed back into my 180, signed Mark's new logbook for his hour and a half instruction. This is where we did right over Lake Tahoe. We did 3 stalls right here until he got the idea of going from a glide to pulling the nose up, and it was called a power off stall. I'm not going to do one round, although I'm going to take the power off. I'm going to shut this shuts it off. Yeah, so I hit the button on the wheel, push the nose down. I'm going to flick the brake up. Now we're looking right down at Mount Rose, and this is Incline Village. Homewood is right on here, and looking back over, we look over to Tahoe City. Tahoe City goes along here over to Truckee, Tahoe. And so right in here under all that is Squaw Valley, and then looking back to the far end of the lakes called South Shore. Here's the Carson Valley, and Carson City is right down there. My son has a home down at the south end of the Carson Valley in Gardnerville. And this is looking back over toward Truckee, Tahoe. And my son also worked up here on we can look at let's see if we can find it here. We can't quite. Oh, here. If we look right. Oh, right back in here is North Star. North Star is right there. That's the Truckee Valley where the Donner Party got snowed in. Right there. So okay, we're letting down here, and we should be able to see the airport. There's the airport, and we're at 14,000. Let's go ahead and let this run out. They give it a little more speed. And let's see what they say. They may send us a right downwind or a left downwind to the landing. All right. Oh, and they topped off my gas. That was all that was required. They trusted that I would get Mark up to Reno safely. Actually, Mark got us up to Reno safely. He flew the entire way. I don't know. I probably demonstrated how to do a stall. Okay, here we're gonna go. Go NorCal approach. Here we
NorCal
go.
approach strike tree 9er 18,300 feet.
Strike tree 9er 1 NorCal approach altimeter 29er decimal 9er 2 radar contact. Continue.
So we get Reno right here. Reno Tower. Request full stop landing.
Reno Tower strike tree 9er 1 is 1 mile south 7,200 feet with Mike to land.
Strike tree 9er 1 Reno Tower. Altimeter 29er decimal 9er 2 wind calm. Make left traffic runway 17 right.
Left traffic 17 right. Okay.
Make left traffic runway 17 right strike tree
right,
9er 1.
Right behind us. And we're going to put our wheels down and our flaps down. Wheels are down. Start coming around. Go. Looking good.
Strike tree 9er 1 wind calm. Clear to land runway 17 right.
Okay.
Clear to land runway 17 right strike tree 9er 1.
Little overshoot. Little fast. Looking good. Get it down to about 150. There we go.
Strike tree 9er 1. Turn next taxiway.
All right.
Strike tree 9er 1 contact ground on 121 decimal 9er.
Going to 121 decimal 9er strike tree 9er 1. Reno ground strike tree 9er 1 taxi to parking.
Strike tree 9er 1 taxi to general aviation parking.
And I don't know where general aviation parking is, but it was on this side back in the days back in '67. We'll see if this guy wants to take us somewhere.
Strike tree 9er 1, did you hear my last transmission?
And we'll just park right here. Yes, I did.
Taxiing to General Aviation Parking Strike Tree 901.
So Reno Piper is down here. It's probably about where the new terminal is. And today's General Aviation, I am not sure where that is. We're not going to worry about that. Here we're at 4,400 feet, and we stayed at the Mapes Hotel, and Mark told me a lot of racing stories, how he'd worked with Walt Hankskin, and that will be in that Four Hands on the Wheel YouTube. It's just very informative. And Roger is still, I heard he just bought into the Long Beach race Formula One track down there. They use it also for Indy cars. And it's actually on the streets of Long Beach is the way they set up the track. Okay, let's get inside here and shut down. And we can look back up toward Mount Rose. And if we got up higher, we could see actually how the probably Highway 80 goes out up that way, going up to Truckee. Yeah, it's really a fascinating area. The Reno air races were over here by Sparks, over this hill. There's a Air Force base out there where they had the Reno air races. I've been there a couple of times. Okay, that's the story. I'm going to stick with it. And again, we use the hot rods because if you were to do that in a Cherokee 180, we wouldn't even be to Lake Tahoe yet. And even going Mach 2 like we did in this airplane, it's quite boring. Okay, thanks for riding along. Bye bye.